Hi, my name is Michelle Pitto, and I want to welcome you to the Healthy Living Revolution Live. And thank you for investing your time with us today. The Healthy Living Revolution is a movement of people dedicated to taking healthy back, and we're bringing you this series to offer education and simple solutions that you can easily implement into your own lives. Our speaker for today's series is Valerie Early, and I'm so excited that I get to introduce her to all of you. Valerie Early is a registered dietitian, a licensed nutritionist, registered pharmacy technician, a certified medical exercise specialist, and a Reiki master. Valerie received her BS degree in food and nutrition science from Florida State University in 1993. She completed her medical nutrition therapy internship at the renowned Cleveland Clinic Foundation in Ohio. Valerie has worked in outpatient adult and pediatric practices and has served as the director of the Natural Health Center, a compounding pharmacy. She's a national marketing director with the Juice Plus Company and also currently counsels people on the importance of preventative and sports nutrition, as well as hormonal and neurotransmitter balancing at her private practice in Schaumburg, Illinois, aptly named Nutrition Connection Balance. Valerie has been a facilitator and member of numerous nutrition and holistic organizations and has been featured in articles such as Fitness Magazine and the Chicago Tribune, just to name a few. Valerie has also co-hosted radio shows on Ageless for Life, as well as appearing as a guest on many other radio programs. Valerie has been a specialist since 2002 on balancing men's and women's hormones, and she's an author of a book, 8 Ways to Lose Your Blubber Through Hormone Balancing and Lifestyle Changes. Valerie's passionate about nutrition, exercise, and alternative forms of healing and relaxation. She's a sought-after motivational speaker and the mother of 2 boys and soon-to-be 3 stepchildren. Not only does she work with athletes at all levels, but she's personally trained and competed in 2 natural bodybuilding contests and 3 marathons. Valerie, we're so fortunate to have you sharing your wisdom with us today. Take it away, Valerie.
Hi. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that wonderful introduction. I so appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here with you today to discuss healthy skin and some other topical information for your health, and I think you'll find it pretty fascinating. Let me go ahead and put up the screen and the PowerPoints. That'll help you follow along. Make sure that you really learn the technology and all the different pieces around what I will teach you. And so I've been doing this for a very long time, and let's see if I can get that up. There we go. And I'm really delighted because with my experience over the years, a lot of things have happened. And the reason why we're discussing this in particular with beauty and health and the topicals of our skin is because there's been new and current clients coming in with extremely high levels of toxins and hormones unknowingly from some of their topical products. And there are all different numerous skin conditions that we're seeing more and more of today with dermatitis and eczema and so on. So when I have been doing testing through hair analysis and tissues, I've been finding toxic elements, surprisingly. Or when I do saliva hormone testing, I'm having women or men come in with hormone disturbances and even young girls and boys. And then also, even in some unusual blood tests, I'm finding some of their binding hormones are off. And that is because of what's been happening with some of the other products they've been using. So our goals today will be to cross-check the amounts and types and then the types that matter. We'll educate to empower you. And then we'll talk about testing so it takes the levels and the guesswork out of what might be affecting you. And of course, the very most important is how to protect your body, your family, the inside out. Really get that body insurance and knowledge and that nutritional foundation so that you're cleansed, so you reduce the hits that increase inflammation, oxidative stress, toxicities, and the skin conditions. And so the other thing is that we know that the skin is an organ, and I say that when I say we, but a lot of us really don't. And one of the things that even physicians often forget is that anything topical gets into the blood. As you heard my pharmacy background, I ran a compounding pharmacy, and we became aware of that very quickly just from preparing topical lotions and how it could get into the people working in the lab. So your products can contain environmental toxins. And then there's chemicals, and there's minerals, and there's herbs and adaptogens. There's hormone and hormone disruptor ingredients often used in products, and then also different heavy metals. And it's got to be, you got to understand that with topicals, it's different. It doesn't matter if it's organic or natural. So you've got to be very different. That's very different than when we're talking about food. And if you're not ingesting it, there's a different type of labeling. So you have to really be smart. We know that the environmental toxins are continue to increase in our environment from so many different places that you just can't control. So I want to make sure that when you were listening to this today, you get excited about the empowerment, not disappointed or worried. And so that's where we know that there's a lot of different factors that actually affect skin health. Some of them are detoxing, those metabolic wastes that have potential to burn through the skin's barrier. Diet, foods higher in sugar, red meat, refined carbohydrates, dairy can be a big, big problem today. One of the reasons I became a registered dietitian first with a food and nutrition science background was because the one thing you're going to do your entire life, whenever you hear me speak, is eat. And I'm always amazed at how little we actually pay attention to that, or based on myths or a magazine. And food is the only thing you can't ever give up. Your kids get older, you can change your hair color, you can get a new house, you can move, but you're always going to have to eat. So it's very unlike other things that you could be exposed to. So why not learn to do it right? You're really lucky who invited you today. I already had that privy to understand that there's something much more going on that can help protect you. The environment, we know there's pollutant, there's UV rays, there's also different things that promote alkalinity and acidity in our diets that also change your skin pH and that increase those outbreaks, as well as eczema and dermatitis and other inflammatory skin conditions. And then there's cosmetics that have all sorts of retinoids and harsh foaming agents that can actually disturb hormones and some other things. There's medications that are in topical hormones, over the counter and prescription, that people are not usually aware of, and they think they're working on doing actually helping their skin. But most things, unless you touch poison ivy, the skin again is an organ from the inside out. We know that water sources can actually cause some imbalances. I see that a lot with well water in some of my clients. And then the one that we know we just can only do our best, that I can't tell you how important it is the emotional imbalances, anxiety, depression, worry, interfere with the secretions of actually our glands by oversuppressing or overstimulating them, so that your body and your prostaglandins and different things work against each other. And then the skin looks dull. And that has to do with that outside stress. And those are some of the markers that I test for. So one of the things you may not be aware of is that cosmetics are the least regulated products under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And it's really amazing that they actually allow some of these disturbances to be in products, like lead, which we know can cause all sorts of abnormalities. When I worked at a pediatric center in Cleveland, it was one of the things that I was ahead of was the lead poisoning program with children. Can you imagine? And how it affect their bone growth and their stability and their emotions. And different things that affect different carcinogens and the risk of cancers, behavioral problems, learning disabilities, sensory impairments where people are oversensitive and have different food sensitivities and chemical sensitivities because of these products. And then also even things like mercury that target the kidney and the lungs. So the European banned more than 1,400 chemicals from personal care products, while the US only bans 10. Canada has banned about 487 as of June of 2010, and while Europe has restricted 351 substances, Canada has only restricted 68. And it takes a long time to develop all the information and statistics, so they're even worse than that now. Here's where you start to wake up and you start to understand how you can be empowered and learn more, is that on an average, an American woman uses 12 personal care products a day and a man uses 6. Overall, that means an adult is likely to be exposed to about 126 unique chemical ingredients and personal care products alone every single day. And if that doesn't get your attention, look at it this way. You'll say, oh, that's not that much. It's a toothpaste, it's a moisturizer, that type of thing. But if you take 126 times 365 days, you're getting 45,000 or more unique chemical ingredients and personal care products alone that expose you to different worries, symptoms, and medical concerns down the road. So again, even people that take very good care of themselves, like usually people that attend these kind of webinars, they wonder why things happen to them. And that's because of some of these exposures. And we're just talking about personal care products. We're not talking about food, supplements, herbs. We're actually not even talking about environmental toxins. And of course, that emotionality aspect of stress that I talked about. So let's talk about some of the different ingredients like parabens. Parabens are a class that are antimicrobial preservatives that are in a lot of products, but they disrupt hormones. If we disrupt hormones, that can affect behavior changes. And I always say you're a bag of hormones. Insulin's a hormone, thyroid's a hormone, testosterone's a hormone, estradiol's a hormone. So I think you get that. It's a pretty big deal. Silicones actually affect how your skins regulate and expire, things that block and let things in and out. Again, that's live tissue. It's an organ. Sulfates are classified as a toxin by the EPA in California and some other things. So very, very important. Chemical fragrances can disrupt different things in the skin, and then different artificial colors. The artificial colors are very interesting because we know they're cancer promoters. And I just had a young lady that came in with, hives the size of baseball bats that they've not been able to figure out. And when we did a LCAT blood test and to chemicals, we found she had a green 3 severe allergy, and it was in the gum she was eating. So you could see that formaldehyde and many other ingredients are very prevalent in different skin products. Herbs can also have some different disruptors that can affect toxic levels. Herbs are very effective, but they act like medications, so they can affect and interact with medications and symptoms. They mask symptoms and the root problem sometimes. So adaptogens are in everything from shakes, mushroom, coffees, powders, self-care products. I want to give you some exact examples so you understand the level that I'm talking about. This is an example of essential oil lotion. And these are just 2 ingredients that really disturbed me. One was it had an herb in there called magnolia, which is a fantastic herb that I use in the right situation and with the right testing. But it lowers cortisol. Cortisol affects your energy, your well-being, your body fat, how you metabolize carbohydrates, your glucose level, anxiety. And it interacts with prescriptions like sedatives, anti-anxiety medications, sleep aids, and alcohol. Willow bark is a natural aspirin, and it interacts with different blood thinners, and too much can affect the kidneys. So that's just from using the lotion on the skin and it gets in the blood, how it could have these disturbances. So when we look, there's other examples. Here's another essential oil lotion. And I'm not picking on essential oils, just that it's been more and more prevalent. That as we looked at, remember the one chemical list, dimethylsulfone. When we're looking at stearates, glycerin, retinol palmate, and then it had St. John's wort. St. John's wort is an absolutely fantastic herb used for depression, but it interacts with every single medication under the sun. So I don't get to use it very often. And then anti-aging topicals, I can give you this one example of one in particular that had parabens in it, minerals like magnesium, aluminum, titanium, and then herbs like Panacha ginseng that directly affect blood pressure, a certain form of licorice that can make blood pressure too high, and then it affects testosterone and cortisol. This particular anti-aging lotion was being taken by a pregnant woman I had, and we'd taken about 2 years to get her pregnant. And then when she came in after she was 3 months pregnant, I said something's terribly wrong because her levels were all off. And we actually found out it was from a new anti-aging lotion a friend had recommended. So again, you've got to be very careful. Other moisturizers, like this particular one, had zinc oxide that was one of the main ingredients in peony. Now, zinc oxide can be a very good and effective sunscreen, but too much, or people that absorb it more than someone else, it actually can lower your immune system. Peony root is used for hormonal issues, which I can use when I test a young woman's hormones versus using certain medications. But it can affect PMS. It can cause uterine contractions in pregnancy, rashes on skin, and then different interactions with seizure medications like Dilantin and blood clotting, not just things like warfarin or Coumadin, the prescription medication, but even aspirin and ibuprofen. And a lot of people take that for different reasons like carpal tunnel or different things. So again, moisturizers can directly, again, get into your skin when they have these kind of ingredients. And then, of course, there's heavy metal sources like makeup. The only makeup that I've typically seen be a problem, just so you know, have been more foundations and primers. And I will teach you about an app that you can use to get started on testing your own products. Moisturizers, sunscreens, essential oils, cleansers, herbs, water, supplements, and injections. Injections like the medical beauty, whether it's Dysport or Botox or Juvederm or many different ones. I'm not for any one or against anyone, and even anesthesia. But when you get an injection, there's always heavy metals in them because of how it holds down the formulas. And so, again, one woman could be affected or one man, and another one will not. And that's where it's very hard. So I always say, sometimes if we don't have testing or can't individualize, I don't know what might affect your body. So it's very important to understand the gravity of some of those ingredients. So let's give you some examples like the minerals. They're from the soil and the earth. They're essential for functioning. Too high or too low impacts your health. Each mineral affects another. So if zinc is too high, it lowers copper. Copper affects zinc. Those affect behavior, cancer risk for men and women, anger, temperament, testosterone. So it's very important. Some other examples that are newer that have been some new problems in my office have also been things like clay masks. Remember, clay and those type of things come from the earth. That means they can have other toxic elements because they're not tested. Activated charcoal are in all sorts of things now, from deodorants to masks to cleansers to shampoo. And too much can actually wipe out or lower some of the minerals you need. Minerals are essential for your energy systems, for your nerves and your muscle, and your heart's a muscle. So calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium all work together in a particular, very beautiful way. Sunscreens like the zinc can have plus active ingredients. We just had somebody that I've had for a patient for years, and when we got her new hair analysis back, something was terribly odd. And here she had started 3 new sunscreens. And she said, no, it just had zinc in it. But when we went down to the active ingredients, there were pages of other things that she didn't know she was getting. Epsom salts can elevate magnesium, which could be good or bad, depending on what you need. And then dolomite have different calcium, magnesium, and those can directly affect different medications, blood pressure, as well as bone density. So, and then there's medical topical prescriptions, and I want to give you an example of just like corticosteroid creams, that they can disrupt and cause high blood sugar and hormonal issues, including testosterone and estrogen problems, different skin and burning and itchiness, bumps, swelling, inflammation. In children, it can actually delay growth and weight gain. We used to measure and took x-rays and different MRIs of the children that were on certain one of those medications when I worked at the pediatric center. And again, a well-meaning mom that's having a child that's really suffering with something topically on their skin don't even realize that this lotion is getting into their bloodstream and then affecting their potential growth and even their bone growth. Antibiotic creams are absolutely something you shouldn't use long term. It directly affects your GI, therefore your immune system gets disrupted, and it can take a few years to turn around. Synthetic hormone creams, I'm always amazed when they'll say, well, it's only a small amount of synthetic estradiol in there. But just few of the studies show, many studies, but a few examples are, if you're 65 years and older, they show absolutely increased risk of dementia, increased risk of gallbladder disease, liver damage, pancreatitis, liver changes. And it directly says right on there, do not use if you've had a stroke, heart attack, vaginal bleeding, cancer, or any kind of blood disorder. And yet when I have people come in and they're using those synthetic hormone creams, they have no clue. And their doctor doesn't because they think they're inserting it or putting on topically. It gets into the bloodstream. So hope that helps you there. So I want to give you a story because I think stories are powerful. And this is a beautiful lady named Mary who had a medical prescription topical. And basically she had some new symptoms, and probably from aging and stress, of eczema and dermatitis, fairly severe. Have had her per patient for 15 years. Unfortunately, she didn't contact me first when this happened. And she borrowed a medium to strong, considered pharmaceutical corticosteroid topical cream from her mom. She used it, her skin got about 50% better, not 100% better, but she developed some very odd behavior she'd never had her entire lifetime. Anger, crying, irrationality, unreasonableness, blood sugar issues, prediabetes. She was fit. She was on no prescription medication. As I said, I've had her as a client for 15 years, proactive woman. She went to different medical doctors. She went to dermatologists. And finally, nothing was better, so she called me. Thank goodness not after more than a few months. We retested her hormones, and we found extremely high testosterone and estradiol levels. Let me give you an idea of what kind of level. And you don't need to learn. It's just it helps you understand the story. That her estradiol, one of the main 3 estrogens, increased from a normal, a 1.9, which she'd always had normal, to a 9. Ideal for her age was 1 to 3, to give you an idea. So if you have high estradiol for too long, it can cause heart disease, stroke, breast cancer risk, and on and on. Testosterone increased from 13.9. She'd always been on the low end, and normal is 25 to 50 for her age. She was at 504.9. That's from a few months of using and borrowing a medical prescription from her mom. The great news is that with regular testing, because of 15 years history, we caught it early. Her increase was caught early enough that her skin and her symptoms and hormones all normalized, including her blood sugar, within 4 months. And long-term, before long-term use or any consequences were happened for her, thank goodness. The other great news is that we just, when I talk about the omega testing and essential fatty acids, we were able to increase her level. We did some other advanced blood tests on her, and her eczema went away. So again, how stress and some other things affected her directly affect some of those essential fatty acid pathways. So remember to cross-check. The amounts matter. What you do every day matter more than when you do once in a while. And I say that again because I don't want people getting very upset. I want you to feel empowered and excited about learning this new information for yourself today. So there's some helpful tools. I'll keep this up for a minute. The Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, is great, but I like their Skin Deep app on your phone the best. You can go around and scan them. Like, remember when I said then the only makeup I've seen have been more like foundation and primer? I taught my 16-year-old stepdaughter just to go to the pharmacy and use the app, and we found different foundations that had a lower risk of toxins and that kind of thing. And then the European Cosmetic Ingredient Database is very helpful. And then when you're talking about herbs or drug side effects, topical things, WebMD.com is very conservative. It doesn't give you everything, but at least it still helps you look for signs when you're not sure if there could be a problem. This is the example from an app of where I had scanned a particular product that I read about in a magazine that were in 3 magazines in 1 month that promoted a particular sunscreen. And because that this young teenager's mom had cancer multiple times, but even when I scanned it, it came up with 2s and 3s for titanium dioxide. It came up with reproductive and non-reproductive toxicities. So that app is very helpful to at least know, are there ingredients or what level are the ingredients that could be harmful for your own body? So as we talk about it now, hopefully some examples, you get to hear Mary's story, you get to start to really understand that how a lot of things that you put on your skin could get into your bloodstream. Let's talk about what to do. First, there's testing. I always do saliva testing for estrogens. There's 3 in the body: progesterone, testosterone. I look at the adrenals. The hair tissue mineral analysis is a wonderful way and very affordable to get in one of our clinics that you can look at if you have any toxicities or odd little things in your minerals. And then there's blood testing like the ALCAT, where we did particular food sensitivity, but more at the chemical level. And then there's prescription sensitivities if you need that level. Then there's a sex hormone binding globulin. And then the other main clinic that I highly recommend is the Omega Quant Clinic that we'll talk about. And then individualize. Testing allows you to individualize, improve, and empower and prevent things that you just don't know you may be exposed to. Here's an example of a hair analysis from a patient that I had that never had any toxicities ever, moved to a different state, it's a college student, and then got the follow-up follow-up hair tissue analysis, and they had uranium, arsenic, mercury, aluminum, cobalt, and all sorts of other disturbances like tin. Luckily, in this particular client, from May to December, we hadn't gone too long, like 2-3 years. And most of my clients test every 1 to 2 years for their hair tissue analysis. That we did discover it was in their water of where they were living. They moved to a college that was more rural, and already we've retested since May, and we've wiped them all out. So again, this is an example of a hair tissue analysis, and we do a really great clinic at NCB, and you can go to our website for that information. Then you want to really start learning, besides, okay, that one test as an example, how do we detect things, how to protect and prevent. This is the exciting part. This is why I became a registered dietitian first with all my different medical background, is the nutrition foundation is the key. Forever you're going to eat. Essential fatty acids must come from outside sources. The skin cannot synthesize or make essential fatty acids. EPA, DHA, AA, GLA, they're all essential nutrients for the skin and all the pathways in the body, especially the things that I specialize in, those hormone pathways, those eczema, those itises like dermatitis. So you want to have properly dosed omega-3s. Don't worry, don't be scared if you don't understand this, but I just think it's always helpful to really understand very simple things. And if you just look at the N3 fatty acids, green leafy vegetables, flax, canola, walnut, different oils, they actually affect that EPA and DHA, and they directly affect your skin. So here's an omega test of my son that is in college. And he has, hadn't had any problems for a while, is very diligent about, particular foods and loves nutrition, very athletic, 6'4", 190 pounds. And he was having some odd tissue issues, some new skin issues. I said, Dylan, let's just redo your omega report while you're here before you go back to school. And his levels of his 6 to 3 that shows inflammation in the tissues and in the skin were very high. And his arachidonic acid, that AA to EPA you see there, was very high. And I said, Dylan, this is impossible. You've always taken your essential fatty acid. What is going on? He goes, oh my gosh, Mom, I forgot to tell you. At the dorm, they never gave me my package that you sent. It sat in some hot environment for 2 months. When I opened my Juice Plus Omegas, they were rancid. Forgot to tell you, I never got any new ones. So he had been off his essential fatty acids for about 5 months. Here he developed aches and pains in his elbows. He developed some skin issues on his elbows and his face. Here it was all due to just not having enough essential fatty acids in his body and missing something for a while. It was shocking to see these kind of levels. We've already retested twice, and he's back down to almost within ideal just within 6 months. So it can change around very quickly, and even the second one in 3 months was already 50% better. So you want to make sure you take and you eat essential fatty acids. The Juice Plus Omega Blend is a great product for that, and it has a lot of other helpful ingredients in there that you can look at that helps directly skin and those whole pathways that we're talking about that increase inflammation in skin receptors as well as the hormone levels. So you want to protect and prevent. Nutrition Foundation is fantastic, and the phytonutrients, the antioxidants are what actually reduce the aging, the rusting, internal rusting of your body, and help move things out, whether you know you're exposed to them or not. And guess what? Fruits and vegetables are the key. There's a synergy of phytonutrients in raw fruits and vegetables that almost everything in nature works together, not in isolation. It's a synergistic effect. Those whole food bioactives nourish the skin. Those bioactives, when they affect the skin, actually affect other things, including the hormone pathways. It's all about prevention and health. Phytonutrients, you can see, are thousands even in an apple. You cannot get that from a multivitamin. As a registered dietitian, I have never recommended a multivitamin ever. I was in 2 exercise and pregnancy studies, and even at that time, I refused a prenatal vitamin. I understood how different foods and the phytochemicals are the strength. And most of the time, and all the time, in my opinion, as a dietitian, I always say I want you to consider taking Juice Plus. The reason it's 30 plus whole foods, it has the phytonutrients, and imagine if you're getting thousands of phytonutrients and there are different ones in each fruit and vegetable. That powder capsule, whether you open it or swallow it, has a huge, profound effect on your detoxification pathways, on your skin pathways, on your prostaglandin pathways. And I've used it since 2002, and it's absolutely the foundation that every patient that comes to me, family member and friend, are required to take, quite frankly. It's unique because of the whole food label. It has the phytochemicals that we just talked about, or phytonutrients. It's dairy-free, gluten-free, so we don't have to worry about all the other testings. And it does have the NSF certification. That's very important to me, because you want to know, after something's been in a bottle, a capsule, or a tablet, has it been tested for pesticides, herbs, and chemicals afterwards? One of the things that often happens is someone will bring me a whole food supplement, and they'll say, oh, I spent $55 at Whole Foods, let's say here in Chicago, and that kind of thing. And I'll say, yeah, but they talk about all the organic parts of it. It started an organic plant, but what happened when it went to the truck in the factory? Did they test afterwards? And that NSF certification is the key. Now, the other most beautiful thing about the Juice Plus, besides all these other wonderful things that you get with over 38 actual studies now, is that there is a skin study. So we know that oxidative stress, and I hope as you learned, as how you put anything on your skin affects your skin in the inside. But when oxidative stress, whether it's emotional or toxicity or too high of an herb or a metal or a mineral gets in your system, it promotes aging and wrinkling of the skin. So what's so great is with the Juice Plus capsules, the other benefit you get besides all the other medical studies is healthier skin. Their proper circulation, remember, is important for skin. So when you take that Juice Plus, it ensures that you're actually getting more of that glow. You're increasing the skin's microcirculation. And they showed a 39% increase along with other things like skin hydration, thickness, and density. This was published in an actual medical journal, and there were multiple factors that were great that we just talked about. But sometimes I like to show that there is such thing as real research. There were 52 women in the study, aged 40 to 65. They took the Juice Plus or a pretend Juice Plus that they thought they were taking, looked the same, for 12 weeks. And it was conducted in Germany at one of the best skin institutes. And they showed that the ingredients in the Juice Plus were bioavailable, and they changed those 5 skin markers. So again, if you get an extra bonus for the skin, we know that circulation, that microcirculation affects everything. You get a better tissue and glow. And then again, you get those other advantages with hydration, skin thickness, and density. And it's very important because if you get that outside benefit, you're getting the inside. You just can't lose. So what have you learned today? Well, you learned what you put on or in your skin affects your blood, your risk of disease, and even can have prescription interactions. You want to individualize, you want to be aware, you want to stay educated, empowered, excited, test, protect, and prevent. And remember Nutrition Foundation, proper omegas, Juice Plus flushes the toxins. It's the best body insurance I've ever found and bridges that gap between what we're not doing and what we can do and what we just don't even know about, quite frankly. I also say pick your poisons carefully. I am not somebody that is very radical about things, and I always say that if you know you're taking something that may have one of these things, what can you do to offset it? And then know what your personal risks are, okay? So Nutrition Connection Balance, we're here for you. And again, you're in great hands, whoever invited you today. And I so look forward to learning more about you, and I hope you have a great day.
Wow. Thank you so much, Valerie. I hope all of you watching learned as much as I did. We want to encourage you to get back with the person that invited you onto this webinar so you can learn more about how you can take your healthy back and live a full and productive life. Thank you again, Valerie, for sharing your passion and your wisdom. And we also want to thank all of you for investing your time with us. Have a great day.
Hi, my name is Michelle Whitehead Olson, and this beautiful girl is my daughter, Danielle. Danielle was diagnosed at 2 weeks of age with a very severe case of atopic dermatitis that would last for 9 years. And by the age 7, she was a full-blown asthmatic and suffered from staph infections and herpes lesions, and she was covered from head to toe with sores from the severe scratching and itching due to the eczema. We were seen at Texas Children's Hospital every 3 months for med checks, and she was prescribed 13 different medications, both orally and topically. You see, Danielle was extremely sensitive to heat and to the sun, and living in Houston was so challenging. She would overheat. We would have to wet wrap 1 to 3 times per day. And we did this by placing her in a cool bath. Then I would lather her medication and lotion, wrap her in wet towels where she would lay for 15 or 20 minutes until her skin came back down to normal temperature. Unfortunately, this kept her from participating in any kind of normal kid activities. She was unable to attend summer camps or swim or go to slumber parties or even attend school, and she did not have very many friends. She was fortunate enough to be picked by Texas Children's Hospital to attend a nonprofit summer camp for disabled children, Camp for All in Brenham, Texas, where all the camp counselors were volunteer doctors and nurses, and she loved it. I did ask the doctors if food played a part in her condition, and they said no, she could eat whatever she wanted. It wasn't until after I was introduced to Juice Plus that I realized just how wrong these doctors were. Danielle was 9 years old when we first started eating Juice Plus, and within 4 months, Juice Plus had done what 9 years of wet wrapping and medication had never been able to do: bring down the temperature of her skin. It lowered her inflammation, and for the first time in her whole life, she had cool skin. Her itching subsided, and she no longer needed the wet wraps. It was then that I became more involved and wanted to know more about these 4 little gummies she was eating every day. I educated myself about phytonutrients and antioxidants and just how important plant nutrients is for balancing out our immune system. Danielle's immune system was on overdrive, and Juice Plus, food, helped balance out her immune system. Now we're 8 years later, and Danielle is medication-free, wet wrap-free. This is her very first day of school ever, and she was in the 4th grade. She is able to attend summer camps. This is at Baylor, a viola camp. She's in plays, and she has loads and loads of friends. And today, Danielle is 17 years old, a junior in high school, and enrolled in a cosmetology class, and she loves makeup and body art, something we never dreamed would be possible. Makeup on her skin, all over her skin. I will forever be grateful to the Juice Plus community for educating me on nutrition and for continuing to educate and inspire healthy living around the world. This is my daughter Danielle today, and I feel extremely blessed.